Hello, fellow moaners. Welcome to Make Yourself Moan podcast. I'm your host, Madison Monroe Curtis, and it's time to dive deeper. Hi, welcome to the Make Yourself Moan podcast. My name is Madison Monroe Curtis, and I am the host, obviously. Y'all, it is storming outside. What is the difference between heavy rain, a windy day, and a scary storm? Why, when you combine them all, does it make it scary? I mean, it kind of makes sense. You might see me have a PA, a panic attack, on camera. I am terrified of tornadoes and tornado-like weather. I am in Mississippi. I grew up in Mississippi. I have thankfully left a bunch of times and traveled to many places. My partner has worked in the wind industry for a long time, so he's kind of been used to wind and windy days. He just doesn't seem as afraid to me because when we were getting to know each other and I was visiting him in these wind turbine places, he's just kind of like, the walls feel like they're going to cave in. Whatever. I'm over here like making sure that I told somebody where the will I wrote in 5th grade is. Golly, I am terrified, but life can be scary. No. Life is scary. Let's be real. We can't just sit back and hold our breath and wait for it to not be scary, or we won't get a life by our choice. If you're watching me talk right now, you're already, like me, more privileged than so many people out there in the world. So we're already so much further along in what chances we've gotten and where we're starting at on the racetrack of life. Like I said, it's fitting that it's scary, stormy outside because today I want to talk about family, the chains that we choose. I am so family oriented. I love my family. I have chosen to be around them, to host family get-togethers, to have all the hard conversations of why are we fighting? I don't want to fight. Let's be better. I've defended my brothers by threatening their school bullies. I drove all of my younger brothers to school. I would show up at my mom's house and clean her entire house. When I've had the opportunity, I would be with my grandma 3 days a week at least and wash her hair and clean her house and trim on their property. And I did all of that kind of stuff last week when I had a day off of work and I spent it at their house, which I'm so blessed to still have them. My grandpa's 94. My grandma is in her late 80s and has Parkinson's, but she can carry on conversations most days and can feed herself. She just is kind of chair ridden unless someone's helping her. I love helping my family and I love being there for my family. But sometimes it's our family that makes us feel like we're going absolutely insane. So my mom and I are pretty opposite. If you were in a room with us, you would think that I was the mom. I have an episode where I interview her after the Netflix documentary. I think it's titled Queens of Tupelo. Here's an image of the thumbnail if you want to listen to that episode and get a little bit of our dynamic. We fight a lot, and I try really hard not to. So the other day we had gone head to head about something, and I just, it hurts. It hurts to love someone so much, and yet y'all fight. And I have fought so much in my life to the point where I'm done fighting. I'm tired of fighting, and I don't know if we'll ever actually really get to be done with fighting because now I feel like I'm fighting with politics and just basic human rights for other humans, which is ridiculous. But at the end of the day, we do have to fight sometimes. That means you got to save your energy and use it wisely. So having the same fight over and over with the people that you've known your entire life, is that really necessary? Is that how it has to be? I don't think so. And if that is how it was going to be or is going to be, I got to tap out. I got to put that distance there. But how much distance do you put there? So I went to Facebook, like most of us dramatic people do, and I said, does anybody else have just a hard time getting along with their parents? It got a lot of feedback. You really learn what is relatable to other people when you've made 10 posts and only one of them had people respond to it, and it's probably the last one you expected. People were coming out being like, yes, me too. Me and my parents don't get along, and this is what I did. A lot of people have blocked their parents from their life. They said that they just couldn't take it anymore. It was affecting their mental health. And so they cut their parents off, whether it was their mom or their dad or both. And when they did that, they said it was the best thing they've ever done. Thankfully, for me, I am not at a point where I am ready or willing to just completely block them off, because our issues in this current season of life a little more petty. A few weeks ago, they weren't. I had stopped talking to one of my parents for a few weeks because they were gaslighting me about how my childhood was. And I said, no. If that's what you got to tell yourself to get through the days, I can get that, because that was really hard. But for me, I've put in the work. I have chosen the road of driving through the potholes and the tree stumps and the ditches, not knowing if I'm going to make it out on the other side, but knowing that that is the real way to do it. At least, well, it is the real way to do it. It's dangerous and scary, but I have learned and seen firsthand what can happen when you just keep it inside, when you deny it, when you choose to pretend the bad stuff didn't happen, and you continue letting the people that harmed you think that you don't remember, or y'all all together just kind of keep it blurry. How big is that dirt pile under that rug? Somebody is tripping over it. Publicly, silently, people in your family are having battles. They're having battles from high school or middle school bullying. They're having struggles with their self image, struggling at work with their coworkers. They wish they had more friends. They're tired from trying to give life to their passions and getting their dreams to come to life. To think that your intermediate family is making it harder, instead of being the people lifting you up on that chair, saying, you can do it, I'm so proud of you, or what do you need? Or how about, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not being there at your school functions. I'm sorry for putting myself first more than you felt like I was there for you. I'm sorry for having a drug problem. I'm sorry for being an alcoholic. I'm sorry for dating abusive people. I'm sorry for being abusive. I'm sorry for putting work first. But hey, that's how you make money to pay the bills, to put food on the table. Kids don't understand what it's like to be a parent, and parents forget what it was like to be a kid. That doesn't mean we have to always go head to head and fight with each other and break each other's hearts. However, if that is the relationship, I hate to say it, but is it worth it? Regret is very, very painful. Regrets like the cancer that you can't get remission from. I always say nothing is impossible until both parties are dead. If there is something that you feel guilty about, you regret doing or not doing, if that person or group of people involved are still breathing, you have a chance to make it right. You can call them and say your piece. I encourage you to do it as respectfully and lovingly as possible. Use your foresight and ask for discernment on how to go about it. If you're thinking that that means you tell your first love or ex love that you still care for them, or that you regret doing this thing, and they're happily with someone else, maybe we're not meant to make ourselves feel better all the time. Write it down and see if that makes you feel better. You do the whole thing where you write in a letter that you don't plan to send, or give it to the universe and know what you'll say when you run into them. And maybe you will. Then you'll be prepared. And that is a really beautiful thing. Not everybody is going to get apologies. A lot of people won't. I'm prepared for distancing myself physically and verbally completely from anyone who is out to hurt me, my sanity, and my chosen family. I will give a lot of chances because I have needed a lot of chances to someone who, like me, has these triggers that we have not healed from that cause us to go round and round and fight. But how we approach each fight should look a little different each time because whatever you did last time didn't work. I've spent decades now at this point trying and failing at how do I approach my mom today? How do I talk to my dad about this? How do I talk to my brothers about their relationships? Or how I am sorry that I took a parenting role instead of just solely being their older sister. I spanked my brothers. That's weird. A sibling shouldn't spank their brothers. Me and my two brothers closer to me in age, we were spanked by my dad. My mom didn't believe in discipline, and so that went well, right? Two people that believe in completely different ways of parenting. Not the dream, guys, not the American dream. Talk about that on your first date. My gosh, that's key information to discuss. So, growing up in a home where parents were fighting a lot, I saw a hole where more parenting was needed. I stepped into that role to help, but I didn't know when to stop. I didn't know the boundaries not to cross or where they were because I was still growing up. I can't take that back. I can just have conversations with my brothers. Thankfully, they're still here today, and I can just tell them I'm sorry and look them in the eyes and explain where I was coming from and how if I could go back, I would change it, but we can't. Then it's kind of now up to them. The ball is in their court, and then they can say what they say, and maybe the ball is back in my court, and we can have a fun game of tennis. But when one of the opponents are just throwing the racket down or purposely hitting the ball out of bounds or into the net, it's not a fun game. Nobody wins. Respect when someone you care about doesn't want to talk to you, can't talk to you. It doesn't matter what you did, big, small. You have to respect people's boundaries and their space, and you pray that you both get the amount of time necessary for the other person to be ready to talk about it or apologize. But we can't spend our life waiting on apologies. That's just a bonus. If you get one of those, cherish it. Jump in the air, do that little kick thing that people do, which is really cool, and grow from it, move on, heal from it. I say family is the chains that we choose because our families don't have to weigh us down. Even the Bible talks about when you become an adult, you leave. You leave your mom and dad in their house and you don't look back. We all have a life to live. We all have dreams. This is the first time your parents are getting a go at life as well. And they probably have a lot of regret and a lot of pent up stress from dreams they didn't get to accomplish, and they have less time than we do to try to accomplish them. Have you ever stopped to realize that your parents are doing life for the first time and they grew up in a time way less friendly and open and encouraging and equal than the ones we're living in right now? It deserves some grace, right? We want grace. They deserve grace. Check in with yourself, though, because nobody's situation or relationship with their family is like yours. It is your own. I read this thing where it talked about a family of five. You have three siblings, you have two siblings, whatever. Each one of those kids, you and your siblings, had different parents. Bear with me. Me and my brothers have the same biological parents, but we experienced different people as our parents at the different times that we were born. When I was born, my mom and dad were these versions of themselves and behaving in these ways. When my brother Bram was born, my parents were these two people to me and him. And then when Kennedy was born, they were these types of people because this was 2 years later. And then when Gable was born, 13 years after that, you better believe my parents were different and divorced. So it's interesting because you and your siblings experienced different things, were treated differently by the same people. And we usually look at it like that's unfair. Why do you treat them this way? Maybe it's because of something they learned or we're holding each other accountable for. They did this to you. They realized they didn't like how that felt. So they started to be different when the next one came along. Life is scary and it is not fair. There's this thing called the French toast theory. When something goes wrong, it can be instead of just, oh, that sucks. This sucks. Everything sucks. It because that happened. This didn't happen. The French toast theory is when something goes wrong, it's the universe sparing you, saving you, throwing a wrench for the greater good in your plans. Because we got stuck in the mud trying to get free from a possible tornado coming, we weren't on the road for longer than what we meant to be. Maybe if we had been on the road instead of being stuck in the mud, the tornado could have come right by and blew us into trees. It's things like that. You're late to work. Maybe you were spared from an accident. Maybe you missed your boss being in a bad mood. Trust the natural timing of things and don't try to control everything. And definitely don't try to control other people, especially not family. It doesn't go well. And I'm talking to myself. I want things for my life. I want to have my parents and my brothers there the entire way cheering me on. They were there from the beginning and I want them there till the end. Not only does life not work that way, I can't let my life and my decisions be based on everybody's approval of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. My brothers don't love when I dress this way, but that would be weird if they did. I know for a fact my brother Bram likes it when his partner's dressed this way. There's cute things that we get from our siblings and our parents that nobody else can give us and make us feel. There is something special about blood relatives, the people that literally brought you into this world and were there when you were taking your first breaths and steps and slamming your bedroom door, getting bullied and just bonding at the dinner table because none of y'all like to see your parents fight. And so now your fights seem way less important. Those are special things. Hope I'm making sense. A friend of mine that's been going to therapy and has had a rough relationship with her mom reached out to me when she saw my post and said, "Hey, are you okay? You know, which parent is it?" She gave me some good advice that she had learned in some of her sessions. It's that we have to let go of waiting for our parents to be the version that we feel like we deserved. We can't keep expecting our parents to be who it is we think that they're supposed to be. I have been waiting for my mom to wake up and be the person who is giving me financial advice, who is making great financial decisions where I don't try to account to have enough money each week to help bail her out of not having gas or driving on a tire that is about to blow at any second and her car is making terrible sounds. I want her to succeed without me. You know, normally I thought it was going to be the parents worried about the kids and like, I just don't know if they can make it without me. So they kind of helicopter parent. My parents have never been helicopter parents. I could go out and party when I was 15, but they trusted me to not really make stupid decisions, which good for them. They just kind of knew me, I guess. I wasn't into drinking. I didn't cuss. I didn't want to have sex because I was waiting till marriage. I almost got a tattoo once, thankfully did not. I did get a ghetto at home nose piercing. That didn't work out either. This one was professionally done. The nose ring I wanted 5 years later. The tattoo I also still wanted, but had some more time to think about it and didn't risk getting some weird disease. I was grateful that my parents weren't super controlling and they let me come and go as I please and have people over all the time and even get to spend the night with boys. I love that part, but I helicopter parent my mom. Like, Mom, make good decisions. Mom, do you have gas? Mom, check your tires. Mom, train your dog this way. Mom, eat like this. Mom, are you exercising? I get on my nerves when I think about how I treat my mom, and I don't treat my mom great because I get upset, which is also why I'm making this whole episode because it drives me crazy. How do I do the opposite of what I'm setting out to do? If I can't answer that question, if I can't find a solution, then I have to do something else. And that sometimes is taking a break from communicating with the people that are triggering you. And they would probably have a better day as well because nobody likes being belittled. Nobody likes being told that everything they do is wrong or that they're stupid or that they're dressed slutty. If your parents are talking to you that way, or if you're talking to your parents that way, it's not healthy. That's not love. That's not showing love. That's not progress in the direction of figuring out how to get along or respect each other. So tap out. Maybe it's for a moment. Maybe you just put that phone down for an hour. Maybe you don't go to Thanksgiving this year. Maybe you don't call them on their birthday. Maybe you move away and you have decided you're okay with never speaking to them again for the well being of your children, of you and your partner's relationship. That is all your choice. There are consequences to every choice. Please make choices that will come with the least amount of regret as possible. Don't make a decision to not show up or to not answer the phone or to not call them if you don't think you'll be able to live with the fact of maybe getting the call that they're no longer here to talk to apologize, to fight with, because that is going to happen. Each one of us will die, and 90% of us, if not more, will not know when that time will come. I'm not trying to scare you or be doom and gloom. I'm just reminding us all that that is what life is. And if you're going to cut your parents or siblings out of your life, it can be a great thing, but it could be the worst thing you ever did if you're not thinking about how you're going to feel when you find out that they passed away tragically in an accident or took their own life. Because I know people that have experienced that. And thankfully, through their tragedies, I can try and attempt to do better than what I would have done out of weakness on my own accord. If I'm not talking to my mom because I have anger issues that I have been working on for years, but when I talk to her, I'm triggered. When I talk to this brother, I'm triggered. It could be them or it could be me, or it could be both of us. But if it's mostly me, if I haven't done everything in my power to get to a place where I'm not blowing up or feeling so terrible inside after speaking to them, if there's more I can do, then my gosh, that is what I'm going to try first before just saying screw them. No, I'll probably do that. I'll be like, oh, F you and F me. This sucks. It's a really devastating feeling when you look in the mirror and you're like, I can't possibly think about doing anything differently or better with them. And if they were to die tonight or have a heart attack right after our conversation, I would hate myself forever. But I can't talk to them differently in this moment. And they really are affecting my mental peace. So I just hope for more good days than bad days. My heart goes out to every one of you that have let go of your family, whether it's all of them or members of them. I know it's not easy. It's hard and painful. And if you're happier than you've ever been, that is so good and good for you. That is so brave and you are strong. And that sometimes needs to happen. There are family members of mine, the ones that molested me and have yet to apologize or take ownership of that disgusting mistake or abuse. They haven't called to apologize. They have reached out to say they didn't do it or they don't remember it or ask for money, but they haven't reached out to try to mend a relationship. It's really amazing what a genuine apology can do. It can almost move mountains. I feel like it does move mountains in our heart and mind. De-escalating a fight is powerful. Someone comes at you angry and mad and screaming at you, and you just keep your composure and you say things like, why are you mad? Are you trying to hurt me? Do you really mean that? Is that really what you want to say to me in this moment? Is that your truth? Do you feel like you've given me time to know that you feel this way? Or did you keep this inside for a long period of time and now you're blowing up when I honestly had no idea that you were feeling this way or that you felt like I was treating you this way? Respectful communication isn't that hard once you start realizing that you and they are capable of it. No matter what childhood you had, no matter how many screams you heard when you were going to sleep each night, you can learn to communicate with love, not manipulation, not guilt ridden. I know with families, I think that's a big one, is when someone has adopted communication style of guilt when they're like, if you love me, you'll do this, or I just would only be happy if this happened. And you're the one who could make that happen because you have a good working vehicle, or, you make more than me. Remember that time when I did this for you? Like, leave guilt and manipulation and gaslighting, leave all of that in the trash where it belongs. That doesn't need to be in a relationship that you're in. That doesn't need to be in a dynamic of you and a parent, of you and a sibling, of you and a friend, you and a coworker, you and a boss. You leave that job. You leave that family member. You leave that relationship. That is abusive behavior. But sometimes even the best of us become abusive and mistreat somebody just to realize later that that is what we did, and we can work to make it right. We all hold the power and ability to change into the best version of ourselves as we do the worst. And that's why we mourn relationships when they end. Because even if they're still alive, the person we fell for or loved doesn't exist to us anymore. That experience, that imagery is gone. Like when someone breaks your trust, you can gain trust again, but there's always going to be that little tear. You can't ever completely heal the tear, the mistrust, the infidelity. It doesn't go away. You can just kind of like record over it, and then it's like it glitches. Sometimes you have this vision of like, oh wait, no. They've made up for that, or they apologize for that. We've talked about that, and you have to heal too. When someone has apologized for something and you really do want to forgive them, you believe that they meant it. Well, they maybe had all this time to be this new version of themselves, but you're still adjusting. Wow, this is weird. That's growth. When you're uncomfortable, it's likely you're growing. So don't stray from discomfort, but do consider making whatever change you need to. If you're at the point of banging your head against the wall or causing self harm because of the amount of stress and pain that someone you love so much is ultimately causing you, because you two are not able to be around each other and to walk away feeling good. We got to train ourselves. We got to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to make the changes necessary to live the biggest, baddest, dopest life we possibly can. And all I'm telling you and myself is we hold the telescope to what that looks like. And it's better to take a beat, put the phone down, step away. You don't want to get to the point of fighting, screaming, belittling. You want to go into battle with the right armor on, and you also want them to show up with the right armor on. And if you show up ready and they don't, you got to see that. Maybe you can get them there with words. Hey, remember, I really want this time that we hang out to be different than last time. I really need us not to fight today. I need us not to fight about this thing, that person. I need you not to talk to me that way. Let's help each other. Let's call each other out the second something starts to feel off or go south, and see if it can be mended right then and there. And if it can't, is that the sign that you needed to cut them off completely? Is that the first time ever you were going to say calmly, hey, I don't like how you just made me feel. I'm going to go. But we had dinner planned. No, I'm not doing this. I am stopping the cycle. I do want a relationship with you, but I can't keep doing this to myself. And you shouldn't want to do this to yourself either. If this is how we're already making each other feel, or if this is how I'm feeling already, I'm not doing that. We can try again another time. Show them your boundaries, because when we set boundaries, we're just showing other people how to love us. We're teaching them what is okay and what is not okay. Just because you're related by blood does not mean that they have to be a part of your life. It may mean try harder, but if you're the only one trying, no relationship works that way. If you feel guilty for not calling them, the phone does work both ways, but it also doesn't work at all if no one ever picks it up. Just weigh out what you want more. I am someone who I know what I want, and therefore I am the one picking up the phone and sending the text message more often, but it definitely makes me feel better. And if they say, thanks for calling, you haven't called me in a while, when's the last time you called me? Have that real human to human conversation. That does make a difference. My mom's been living at our house on our property for the last year. And we had only had this house for a few months when her lease was running out on the campground she had moved to after she sold her house. She loved the campground, but her parents, my grandparents, were on closer to where we live. And where she works is where my same area my grandparents live. So it just made sense for her to be closer to this side of the world. Well, it just came out that financially, what was good for her was to find somewhere to put her camper. That ended up being mine and my partner's property. Doesn't every person want your in law to move to your house after you've just got it? My partner is a saint. My mom, even though we fight a lot, she is awesome and she's hilarious. She is childlike. She's adventurous. But that doesn't mean you want your in law living in earshot of your bedroom or just coming in your house to shower, do laundry, and bring your 2 to 3 dogs inside for movie night. It's just, it can be a lot. For the last year, she lived here. As of 2 days ago, she now has moved to my grandparents' property. We didn't kick her out. She wanted to be closer to my grandparents because she has really stepped up and been there for my grandma at least once a week for the last few months. She has done what I used to do multiple days a week, and that's just sit with my grandma so my 94-year-old grandpa can go to work. So he can go to Social Security office and help people get Social Security, which he has done for the last 60 or more years. He loves to work. He loves to drive his big old truck 40 minutes to work at least once a day. And he feels better about doing that when someone's sitting with my grandma, babysitting her, basically. She's not a baby, but if her phone fell on the ground, she couldn't pick it up. She can't go from her chair to the microwave to heat up her coffee. She can't go to the fridge to get her food. If she starts throwing up, she couldn't do something about it. She can't get to the bathroom. So it is good for someone to be with her. My mom felt peace about going to be there. And they have an incredible property. I hope to inherit something of it one day, far, far away. I want my grandparents here forever. But their property is magical. I grew up on it. Every day in the summer, me and my brothers were there working in the garden or learning how to plant trees and rose bushes. I helped my grandma run her bed and breakfast, host dinners for all types of groups of people. My life was there. I grew up there. And the fact that I'm in my 30s, they're in their 90s and late 80s, I still have them here and they're still living on that property. That's special. So me and my partner moved my mom there the other day, and so far so good. Did dinner together last night. My grandpa cooked something. He learned to cook when my grandma was no longer able to cook. So you can learn, men, you can learn how to do things that you never thought you would do, and women vice versa. You're never too old to learn. And my mom made a salad, my grandpa made beef tips or something, and they had dinner. And my mom is sitting with my grandma today. Her view is a lake and sheep are running around. Her dogs can roam freely, similar to how it was here, but for her more meaningful because she wanted to live there before I was born. And she's finally getting to. When she first was moving here, I was so stressed. I wanted it, but was terrified and didn't know how it was going to go because I loved just existing on my property with my partner. We had lived in such a small space for so long in our truck camper, me and my van, him and his RV. And then we had this big house together, going outside with my coffee cup naked, walking in the backyard, peeing outside in the woods, not worried anybody's going to bother me or see me. That was great. But when my mom moved here, I knew that would change. And it did. But then we adapt. So I got used to her being here. I got used to sometimes I'd warm her car up for her on cold mornings. And when she was at work and I was here, I would let her dogs out and I would have dinner ready for her when she got home. And if she was out of dog food, I'd give her dog food. We did her laundry. It was just the way life has been for over a year. And it's weird coming home and not seeing her camper all lit up in Christmas lights, even when it's June. And it's hard knowing that that might be the last time I ever live so close to my mom and can just hug her in the morning. And we had started going to church together on Sundays. I want that best friend relationship with my mom. We have it more than a lot of people, but it a lot of times seems forced because it's so easy to get into a disagreement. But at the end of the day, I love my mom, and I love that she spends way too much money on good coffee, and she always has several bottles of wine that I could convince her to open at least one so we can enjoy one and watch a good TV show. She has great taste in music, and she's cute and funny. There is never going to be anyone like her. I'm honored that I get to be her daughter. I'm honored to have my dad with all the conspiracies and body part finding and impersonations where he has gone to my school all through my adolescent years and performed Elvis and Prince and Jerry Lee Lewis and made me feel cool for a moment. And I love my brothers. They're all so different. All of them combined have helped make me who I am. And I like who I am. When I don't like something about myself, I work to change it. And I can't blame them. I can, but I also have to thank them because as an individual, I get to choose to build strength off of hardships. And they've taught me to be resilient and taught me to learn a multitude of different ways to communicate with someone I'm not getting along with. They've made me strong where I don't just walk away at the first sign that I don't get what I want or someone says something hurtful to me. So our family is the chains that we choose, and sometimes I wear those chains like bracelets. Other times I gotta realize if I don't take them off right now, I'm going to sink and not ever get another chance. It's up to us to weigh it out, and good luck. Write in. Tell me what you're feeling, thinking. Do you agree with me? Disagree? What is the worst thing your parents have ever done to you? Why did you cut your parents out of your life altogether? Is there anything you regret? Is there any advice you want to give to me and other people? I'd love to hear your unique perspective and experience because it's different than what anyone else has had. It can help other people make better choices than what they would make without your input, without my input. You can find my Instagram and my YouTube account under Madison Monroe Curtis and Make Yourself Moan podcast. So please, if you feel led to, like, share, follow, leave a review, follow my socials, and send me a message. Tell me what you got out of this episode. Is there a topic out there that you would like me to touch on? As always, thank you so much for donating your time and your ears. And if you watch the video version, your eyeballs to the Make Yourself Moan podcast. I'm about to go watch The Storm some more, but thank the Lord, we're all still here. It's kind of a relaxing sound of rain and thunder. The rain is getting really hard. And yeah, I'll just be praying for safety and that we're still here for the next episode. Until next time, thank you so much. Go find something that makes you moan today. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Make Yourself Moan. Remember, self-love and raw truth are your power. So keep diving deeper and turning up the volume on truth and healing. Until next time, I'm Madison Monroe Curtis, sending you love and loud moans of confidence. If you feel led to, please follow me, like, subscribe on all those socials. I'd love it if you send or email me any and all topics on your heart and brain, and let's unravel those together. Until next time, just keep moaning.